The Green Bay Packers kick off the 2024 preseason in impressive fashion. The offense, the defense, it was all working for the Packers. We break it down live on YouTube. Let's go.
You are Locked On Packers, your daily Green Bay Packers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
You are Locked On Packers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm Peter Bukowski, and I cover the Packers for The Leap, a newsletter I would love for you to subscribe to. Follow me on Twitter, Peter_Bukowski. Follow the podcast on Twitter, Locked On Packers. Find us on Facebook. Subscribe to the podcast, iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever you find podcasts, you will find Locked On Packers, the #1 Packers podcast on the internet. And the show for fans who know what happened. They want to know why and how. Thanks to everyone who makes Locked On Packers their first listen every day. We hope you like starting your day with us as much as we like starting our day with you. Today's episode brought to you by our friends at LinkedIn Jobs. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply. Jordan Love back on the field. A new look Packers defense shined in this one, and the Packers cup runneth over with offensive playmakers. We're going to get to all of that on today's live Locked On Packers YouTube. Right now, it'll be in your podcast feed coming up. Yes, Jordan Love on the field for the first time. They just do what they do. And I don't have anything to add. Great throw. Awesome. That's all. It was the defense that we came to see. What was it going to look like under Jeff Hafley? And what we saw was an immediate difference in the way this team plays. This young group of Packers defensive players. Evan Williams, 6 tackles and a forced fumble. Javon Bullard, only 3 official tackles, but was in the mix consistently. Lucas Van Ness had 3 tackles for loss and a sack. He was consistently getting into the backfield. Devontae Wyatt should have had a sack, had a couple good pressures in this game. They looked different. And I'm talking about start to finish, they look different. Like they look different in the third and fourth quarters when you have guys who are going to be, managers at a Chili's sometime very soon. And no disrespect to those guys, but they're just not going to be NFL players. And that's okay because Jeff Hafley has them flying around, playing fast, playing physically. They held this Browns team that has really 4 reasonable quarterbacks. Like Deshaun Watson might not be the best quarterback on this roster. Tyler Huntley, I understand, a fake Pro Bowler, but a Pro Bowler nonetheless. Jameis Winston, a former legit starting player in the NFL. And Dorian Thompson-Robinson. Like these are real quarterbacks that they're going up against in the preseason. This is not the random guy who's going to show up and eventually is going to be in the CFL by the time training camp is over. No, these are real quarterbacks. The Packers didn't do anything that interesting defensively, and yet guys consistently in the backfield, corners consistently coming up to tackle, defensive backs and linebackers getting into passing lanes, safeties causing fumbles. Anthony Johnson Jr. and Evan Williams combined to force a fumble in this one. You saw a marked difference in the culture of this defense. The attitude of this defense. And it was from everywhere. It was from all levels. Now, we didn't get a chance to see Tyron Hopper and Edgerrin Cooper, unfortunately, at linebacker. Hopefully, that is something we get to see in the future with these games. That's a big miss for the Packers. But Javon Bullard looks the part from the jump. And I'll get to this a little bit later. I said this about a week ago, that I was just ready to see the full safety package. I wanted to see Xavier McKinney, Evan Williams, and Javon Bullard and have that just be, I understand, 2 rookie safeties in a defense that wants to contend for a Super Bowl. It's probably not the way you draw it up if you could avoid it. But what if they're just the best guys? What if that's the best way to go about this? And after what we saw, Evan Williams around the ball constantly making sure tackles, Javon Bullard getting into passing lanes, rallying and tackling, playing kick coverage. Tell me he's not the best nickel corner on this team. Like, I understand Keyshawn Nixon, more experience. They want to give him a little bit more opportunities. Can he play the boundary? I think one of the reasons you saw him play the boundary in this game, and you've seen him play the boundary in the preseason, family night, all those things, is because they know that Javon Bullard is coming for those safety, those nickel reps. He's coming for those nickel reps. He is the best slot defender on this team. And it is hard to not be excited about what he can bring to this group. Devonte Wyatt looks like he has taken that step forward. He said he wants to take a big step. Matt LaFleur said he believes Devonte Wyatt can take a big step. Lucas Van Ness was dominant in this game. Dominant and should have had another sack. You had, I don't remember if it was Tyler Huntley or DTR. I believe it was DTR spinned out of what looked like a pretty sure sack. He looks more decisive. Looks like a guy who he was thinking too much last year, and maybe not too much, but he was thinking a lot. There was a lot on his plate trying to understand, okay, I'm changing positions a little bit here. Remember, just one year full time as an edge rusher. He wasn't even the starter. Had been playing defensive tackle. So Joe Mama mentions in the chat that LVN has a bright future. He and Rashawn Gary balling out. Okay, he's on the Rashawn Gary track. That's what this is. Remember, Rashawn Gary played sparingly in 2019, got to play a little bit more in 2020, and flourished when given more opportunities. And by the end of that 2020 season, had the best game of his career to date against the Rams, was excellent at the end of that season as a rotational pass rusher. And then he gets to 2021, Zadarius Smith gets hurt. He plays almost the whole season as the starter and is just absolutely lights out. And that's when we started to see, oh, this guy's a star. Lucas Van Ness already looks better in year 2 than Rashawn Gary did in year 2. And Rashawn Gary turned into one of the best edge players in the NFL. I'm not saying that's what's going to, like, Lucas Van Ness is going to take the exact same trajectory, because it's unfair to put those sorts of expectations on him. But he certainly has Pro Bowl ability. And if he's just going to play this decisively with this much force and consistently, this team is so deep. Even on a side of the ball where they underperformed last year, and it looks like they're going to have the kind of team. They just come at you in waves with pass rush. And that was the premise here. That was the joke. That how, like, why is it going to be different this time around? Well, because of the pass rush. Because they can just come at you and come at you and come at you and come at you. Shout out to Bordeaux, France in the chat. What's good? We had some last night. We lost power here last night. Thankfully, it's back on. We had a big tree down the street. Had a little Bordeaux going, and it's time to pop the bottles tonight. The way this defense looked, it really was fun to see just a difference in attitude and energy. In my favorite word, with playing with verve. That's the fun part of what Jeff Hafley can bring to this defense. Eric Stokes coming up in run support. Guy was a devastating injury 2 years ago, came back, did not look the same, got hurt again. And yet in a preseason game, playing, deep into the first quarter as a no doubt starter, former first round pick, and he's playing with force. It is the definition of, you love to see it. You truly love to see it. And speaking of things you love to see, it looks like the Packers have even more playmakers on offense than we originally thought. We're going to talk about the playmakers next here on Locked On Packers. Today's episode brought to you by our friends at eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. It is an embarrassment of riches for the Packers on offense. To see Grant Dubose, who was someone that everydayers will remember last year, I was extremely high on in the pre-draft process. He was someone that our pal Jake Morley had pointed out to me before the draft, long before the draft. Hey, this guy is a Packers type by testing, not crazy numbers, but just hits all of the check marks. And so I went and I watched him. And it is not overselling it to say I was blown away by what I saw. A small college player, University of Charlotte University. I don't even know. It doesn't matter. He scored on a first round corner that last year and gave him the too small. I think he gave the too small like 5 or 6 times in games that I watched. He has an attitude about him and just catches everything. Had the huge play in this one right before the half, a 23-yarder to get them up, set them up in field goal position. Had 5 catches for 66 yards in this one and really caught everything in his range. He is someone who's going to push to make this roster. Like Malik Heath, Bo Melton, your spots are not safe. By all accounts, having a terrific camp, is making a play a day in training camp. And now you have the preseason where he looks like the best receiver on the field. Cedric Tillman played, former top 100 pick. We saw, Dontayvion Wicks, let's not go nuts, but they only played one possession. But he looked like an NFL player. And I tweeted this out during the draft. I said, during the game, I don't know if it's going to be on the Packers, but he is an NFL player. He is an NFL receiver. And speaking of NFL players, Emmanuel Wilson is an NFL running back. 13 carries, 67 yards, and a score on this one. Had the long one that Michael Pratt got out in front of. Love that one. We'll talk about A.J. Dillon a little bit later, but Emmanuel Wilson, I thought, might be the odd man out. They brought back A.J. Dillon. I was a little surprised when they did that. We haven't had a lot of time to talk about A.J. Dillon. We'll get there. But Marshawn Lloyd gets hurt in this game. And so you have Emmanuel Wilson, who was the star of the preseason last year, getting some opportunities in this game and looking a little bit bigger, looked a little thicker to me, ran a little harder on contact, which is what he needed to take that step. He is someone that has the size. It's not like he's just a speed back. He's 5'10", 226. Like, he is a thickly built running back, but he just didn't quite have the strength. Now it looks like he's starting to put some of that together, ran patiently. Last year, he wanted to bounce everything, was always looking to break the big one. Well, the big one that he broke this time, outside run, he breaks the ankles of the corner and takes off. Didn't look quite as explosive vertically as we've seen him. But if that's the trade-off, that, okay, it's going to be a 25-yard run instead of a 40-yard run, but you're going to finish on contact better. You're not going to go down after the first tackle attempt every time. That's a trade-off you want to make. And again, I thought he was someone who might be the odd man out. You bring back A.J. Dillon. You use that top 100 pick on Marshawn Lloyd. You paid the money for Josh Jacobs. Those are your 3 running backs. Is Wilson going to be someone who just winds up on the practice squad? I think he's got to make this team. I really think he has to make this team. And, Josh Jacobs is not an explosive, I'm going to hit you for 50 yards kind of back. Marshawn Lloyd can be. A.J. Dillon certainly is not that. But Emmanuel Wilson, part of his appeal was he can break a 60-yard run. Now, again, he didn't look quite as explosive today. I'm not sure why that is. Is it because, he just didn't have the right opportunities? Is it because he was trying to stay more patient? Even on the run where he got out in front, didn't look quite as fast to me. But still, it is an explosiveness at the cut point, at the line of scrimmage, when you have to press the hole and then you've got to explode through it. Everyone, please be cool. He still looks like he has that part of it. And I don't know how he's not one of your best 3 running backs. And this one is going to go a little unnoticed. I understand that. But I really liked what I saw from Joe Wilson in this game. Someone that I kind of like, I'll be honest. And Jason Hershorn, our pal from the Leap, was teasing me about it. But he made a couple nice blocks, made a couple nice catch and run in the open field. And are we sure Ben Sims is like a real part of this team? Just because he was there doesn't mean that he is. And remember, the Packers picked him up on the practice squad in November. He's actually been on this team. He was someone I liked more than Jason, and we did our preseason series. He was someone that they kept. They got him on the practice squad. They kept him and then brought him back. And now he's playing real snaps in this game. 3 catches for 30 yards. Again, looked solid as a blocker, soft hands. I think this is a player who has a future for the Packers, even if it's just as a backup tight end. Those guys, we saw those guys catch touchdowns in Green Bay. I understand Tucker Kraft's not healthy, and you're not going to get a ton out of Luke Musgrave in a preseason game, so someone's got to be that guy in this offense. But I like Joe Wilson, and I think he's going to get more chances. I think he's going to have. Can he beat out Tyler Davis? We'll see. They really like Tyler Davis. Apparently, Tyler Davis has been having a good camp. But I didn't see so much from Ben Sims, despite the athletic profile last year, that I'm willing to say, well, this is just over. He's going to be back, and it's going to be his job. I don't see that at all. I think Joe Wilson has a real shot to grab that tight end 3, maybe tight end 4 spot. I think if they do keep Tyler Davis, I think there is a real world where they keep 4 tight ends. There's going to be a numbers crunch somewhere. Maybe it is at tight end, and you can sneak Joe Wilson back onto your practice squad. But I liked the looks that they were giving him. And although Marshawn Lloyd got hurt, I can't not mention that the one run that we did see, the 8-yard run, he looked like the guy that we saw at USC. Makes one cut, breaks back to the outside, and just picks up 8 casually like it's nothing. I don't think he looks fully up to speed. Goes out with a hamstring injury, which you also hate to see. He's also someone who has had limited practice reps. So in those moments, you're a little juiced up. It's not unusual to kind of run out of your shoes there. Run out of your body a little bit. Maybe a little bit of nerves. You're a little tighter than you might otherwise be. I'm not worried about it for now, but I guess this is why you have A.J. Dillon. This is why you have Emmanuel Wilson. We did see Josh Jacobs. 1 run. That's all we needed to see. It was a good run. 7 yards. Good. Okay, cool. Done. And what are we expecting from these quarterbacks? I thought Michael Pratt looked better than Sean Clifford. I don't know what to make of that. I said on Twitter that I think they should leave Cleveland with one of these backup quarterbacks, whether it's Hundley or DTR, if they can. There's a lot of overlap with the Cleveland Browns system and the Packers system. I'm a little concerned about the quarterback play for the Packers if they need to go a month without Jordan Love. Like one game, you can always ham and egg it, some trick plays, the run game, play actions, hope that your receivers can make some plays and your defense can win you a 13-10 kind of game. But if you got to go a month, 6 weeks, just weather the storm. Not a serious injury, but let's say a shoulder sprain or a high ankle sprain where you've got to sit a couple weeks. Can they manage? Can they manage? I'm not at all sure about that. That's problematic. The Browns have too many quarterbacks. Now, they may not have any because Deshaun Watson has looked like absolute booty cheeks since he got to Cleveland. You hate to see it. You hate to see it. And so maybe they don't want to part with anybody. But if I'm the Packers, I'm at least having a conversation with Cleveland about what it's going to take to get someone like DTR or Hundley moving forward here. Let's talk about the bad. We'll do that next on Locked On Packers. Today's episode brought to you by our friends at LinkedIn. LinkedIn isn't just a job board. LinkedIn helps you hire professionals you can't find anywhere else, even those who aren't actively searching for a new job, but might be open to the perfect role. In a given month, over 70% of LinkedIn users don't visit other leading job sites. So if you're not looking on LinkedIn, you're looking in the wrong place. On LinkedIn, 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. Hire professionals like a professional. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply. Today's live Locked On Packers also brought to you by our friends at BetterHelp. Find your non-negotiables that give you the self-care that you need. Maybe it's you never skip leg day. When your schedule is packed with kids' activities, big work projects, or more, it's easy to let your priorities slip. Even when we know what makes us happy, it's sometimes hard to make time for it. But when you feel like you have no time for yourself, non-negotiables are more important than ever. Therapy can help you find non-negotiables or can be a non-negotiable for you. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOn to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp.com/LockedOn. Okay. The bad, because there was some. In order of my noting of these things, why do we have to pretend like Keyshawn Nixon is one of the best three corners on this team? Why are they doing that? I don't understand it. He's just not. And it is so obvious when Javon Bullard is out there that he is the better fit there, better as a run defender in that overhang look from the nickel. He's a better cover corner. At least he was at Georgia. And that's enough for me. That's enough for me. I think his best spot in the NFL is at nickel. I've said that over and over. So your best look with the way Evan Williams played and the way Javon Bullard played, I just want to see McKinney and Williams at safety and Bullard in the nickel, or you can move any of those guys to play any other spot. That's why you have them. I don't know why they're pretending like Keyshawn Nixon can play outside corner. It's just not his best spot. And I look, he's an all-pro kick returner and is a core member of the culture of this team. The guys love him. This is not a personal thing. He seems like a really great guy and great energy in the locker room. I just don't think he's one of the best corners on this team. And it's not even really a shot at him because I just think Javon Bullard is that good. I think Javon Bullard is that good. Next is A.J. Dillon. If you're not going to get 1 yard on 3rd and 1, and then you're not going to get 1 yard on 4th and 1, you're not going to just push the pile to get that 1 yard as Quadzilla. Why? Why lift? Why do all the deadlifts and the squats and the power cleans? Why are you doing all those lifts to have all of that muscle and go down on first contact that regularly? Why? What is the purpose? I understand skeletal muscle is directly correlated with longevity. So AJ Dillon, hope he lives forever. But when are we going to see it? When are we going to see it translate in a meaningful way? I don't think we are. I think it's just over. I think it's just over. And that's a bummer because he's a really well-liked player. I like AJ Dillon. He does some good things. I don't think he's one of the 3 best running backs on this team. Now, maybe they keep 4. The weird thing about AJ Dillon is he's best in the open field. He will bounce off guys in the open field, but in the backfield, he'll just go down. He's not going to push the pile at the line of scrimmage. Now, if it's 6 yards down the field, they're past the first down, and it's like a rugby scrum, then he'll keep his legs going and get 3 or 4 extra yards. It is really remarkable for as big and as strong as he is, and as tough to tackle in the open field as he is. One-on-one, he is tough to tackle in the open field. But when he doesn't have his momentum going, he's really not. And it's why I didn't think the Packers were going to bring him back. I'm a little surprised that they did. I don't know that it needs to continue. Last thing. Why do we have to keep pretending with Anders Carlson? Like, I understand the box score is going to say that he and Greg Joseph had the same day. No one missed any kicks. And you're all good. Anders Carlson went 2 for 2 on field goals. He hit the long one, the 46-yarder, but just barely. Really on all 3. Meanwhile, Greg Joseph, who set the record for the Vikings with most game-winning kicks. We've seen him in big moments make big kicks. Just hits dead center every kick. Splits the uprights. You hear announcers say that all the time. Oh, he splits the uprights. Split the uprights. Why do we have to pretend like Greg Joseph is not the better option at this point? And I understand it. Rick Busy in the chat, there's a lot of Packer fans who want to continue to do the thing that they did last year with the young talent and just say, be patient, let them improve. I understand that. If the Packers put Anders Carlson on the practice squad, if they put him on waivers, is he getting claimed? He was just the least efficient rookie kicker in modern football history. And you know why? Because any rookie kicker that misses as many kicks as Anders Carlson did last year is getting cut. So cut him, waive him, and sneak him on your practice squad. And if he gets claimed, oh no. What a shame. What evidence do we have that suggests it's not better to just roll with Greg Joseph? I don't know that we have any of that evidence. So we just don't have to do this anymore. We just don't competition over as far as I'm concerned. He started out really well. We did a segment on a couple weeks ago. Looked good in the spring, looked good in camp to start. And then all of a sudden, over the larger sample size, missing kicks again. Greg Joseph making them. Now, if he's going to, he's a kicker that has made, something like 82% of his career kicks. But game winners, real NFL games on a team that was like going to do stuff. I just don't know what and you know what, the Packers, they know that this is not solidified either because they just brought in another kicker. They are searching right now. And frankly, I don't know why. And it feels like they are searching because they want someone to come in and just be like, Mike Vanderjagt with the Colts and just like never miss, I guess. So they makes it easy to move off Anders Carlson. I'm ready. We don't need to see any more. We don't need to see any more. It's time to move on. It's time to move on. All right. You guys have been here for half an hour. Thank you so much. We're done. So we're back next week. We get to do this all over again. We get a full week of stuff. Another preseason game for the Green Bay Packers. Will we see Jordan Love? I think we will. I don't know that we'll see him in the third preseason game. Hopefully we'll get to see Adrian Cooper, Tyron Hopper, Jordan Morgan. We want to see those guys and get an opportunity. I want to see you on social media, on YouTube, where we are right now, live, baby. I want to see you on Instagram. I want to see you on TikTok. We're going to do a giveaway, a jersey giveaway. Go check out our Instagram for more information on that one. Follow me on Twitter, Peter_Bukowski. Follow the podcast on Twitter, Locked On Packers. And go subscribe to this podcast, to this show, wherever you get podcasts, so you can stay Locked On Packers.